Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories.
Update: my husband refused to answer my calls while I was in labor and my brother played a horrible prank. Now my husband is furious I won't cut him off. Original post: my husband and I got in a fight prior to my daughter's birth a week ago, when he casually suggested a paternity test for our daughter when she was born. To be clear, this was completely out of the blue with no wanting or reason. I'm a homebody who works remotely with no male friends other than my brother. I told him that he was accusing me of infidelity and he said he just wanted to be sure, and kept bringing it up until I told him, after 3 days of him asking and the stress starting to make me physically ill, that I didn't want to talk to him and left to my brother's house. I called him while I was gone and tried to work it out, but he refused. After all this, I went home the next day to grab some things while he was at work, and I went into labor. I called him 16 times, before calling my brother, who called him another half a dozen times himself while on the way to pick me up, and then on the way to the hospital. It was a horrible and traumatic birth. I started crowding in the car and the doctor delivered my daughter in the back of my brother's van because I was too far along to move me, before rushing me in when I kept bleeding. It was horrible. I hated it all. My brother's wife, who is a nurse, even told me she honestly thought I wouldn't make it. I also opted for a hysterectomy as it came to that or something more dangerous. I only ever wanted one or none, but my husband wants a large family. I'm trying to bond with my daughter, but it's been hard. The point is that during this, while I was returning from surgery 10 hours after I called, my husband finally responded and asked why I hadn't answered his call. However, my brother had my phone and was so angry that he said, "This is OP's brother, I'm at the hospital. She didn't make it," and turned it off. My husband rushed over and got there when I had just woken up, and started shouting until the security forced him out, and then didn't get to see our daughter until the next day because I was mostly asleep, and apparently they needed my signature to allow him back. My sister-in-law thinks it was horribly cruel, but that he deserved it. But my brother stands by his prank, and says that he only gave my husband 10 minutes of the same fear he had felt at my side for 10+ hours. Whenever he sees my husband, he also keeps telling him that I nearly died because we waited for him. My brother used to be mostly indifferent to my husband, but now he absolutely hates him. You can see it in his face whenever my husband enters the room. And he's been visiting a lot because he doesn't trust my husband to care for me while I'm still healing. My husband is furious that he won't apologize, and that I won't make him, and yelled at me when I said that the only reason my brother had my phone was because he wasn't there. I am trying to be empathetic. I know he feels guilty. I've spoken to my therapist, and she says the apathy I'm feeling is likely general and not solely focused on him, from lingering shock from the trauma, but didn't say much about the prank. My mother-in-law has been texting me to say that my family is horribly cruel for the prank, and that I should go no contact with my brother, and now my husband is saying the same. I just don't know what to do. I'm not in a good headspace. It's been hard to be in the same room with my husband, and I've been sleeping in the guest room with my daughter. He brought up the paternity once, and I just exhaustively told him to either get out of my face or go stay with his mom if he's planning on stressing me out even more. I really don't feel myself, and yes, I am taking the likelihood of PPD seriously, and my therapist who has suggested that it may be PTSD too. However, I just want more opinions because I just don't know. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Your husband is scary. All of this started because he suddenly doubted the paternity of his child and refused to back down. That's an interesting behavior, given that he has no reason to doubt you. Either he's projecting his own cheating onto you, or the realities of being a parent momentarily freaked him out. My money is on the former. Why? Because he didn't answer your calls, and he didn't care when the chips were down. You almost died. That's serious. Was your brother out of line? Yeah, a little. Under different circumstances, what he did would have been inexcusable, but obviously your husband needed some kind of wake-up call, and you almost did die because of his behavior. If you want to save this marriage, he has a lot of work to do. But to be honest, between his accusations, his subsequent temper tantrums, and now his attempts to isolate you from your family, he does not sound worthy of your love. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I was going to say that my money is on the husband projecting his own infidelity. Even if that's not the case though, he's shown his true nature. When people show themselves to you, believe them. Not only was he not there for you when you nearly died, he has doubled down on his behavior. He is still insisting on a paternity test, still bucking the blame, and continuing to re-traumatize you with his behavior. Do not let this man isolate you from your family. As far as your brother goes, I would have done the same. Normally a prank like that couldn't be justified, but he was likely traumatized himself having just been through that nightmare with you, and rightfully furious with your husband. Thank God for your brother looking out for you honestly. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Pregnant and postpartum women are unbelievably subject to elevated levels of mistreatment and DV. Escape this situation while you can, for yourself and for your baby. Her husband didn't get a wake-up call or realize that his wife probably would have died delivering his child, had her brother not stepped up like he spectacularly failed to do. Instead, he is painting himself as the victim. I'm sorry, after everything that happened, your husband still brought up the paternity test after you gave birth. Christ on a bike, hun, you have so much reason to divorce this guy. What your brother did was pretty horrible, but honestly under the circumstances, I kind of don't blame him. Your husband is self-centered on the extreme and his selfishness put your life in danger. Your brother acted badly towards your husband, but was there for you in your time of need and has continued to show up for you since then. Your turd-bag husband was nowhere to be found, and instead of giving you an abject, groveling apology for how he let you down, he's doubled down on this paternity test BS, and is demanding you cut off a loving, supportive family member when you've just survived a traumatic birth. Who the heck does he think he is? Honestly, I wouldn't listen to anything your mother-in-law says. She raised this idiot. She probably wants you to make up so she doesn't have to take him back at home. But after everything that happened, I don't know if it's worth even trying to forgive him. And he's certainly not acting like someone who thinks his actions need forgiveness. Oh, and you don't need to extend empathy to him because he feels guilty. He should feel guilty. And instead of apologizing for his actions, he's lashing out at his traumatized postpartum wife. What an absolute trash. Congratulations on your daughter. I hope you will treat yourself with the respect you would want her to have in this situation. This is the best response. OP, please take your kid and go to your brother's house. Please. This whole situation is a mess. Don't cut your family out of your life. And now for the update. I can't update the old post, but since so many people reached out, I thought I'd make a new one. So, I don't think this will be something we can come back from. I just don't think I'll be able to heal with him, because there is no way he didn't know it was me calling, and he still hasn't told me why he didn't answer. I know I thought I wouldn't decide right away, but I actually don't want to forget how terrible it was waiting on him, thinking he couldn't possibly leave me like that no matter how angry he was. I took the time to think of that moment before it all went down, and just how grossly betrayed and scared and alone I felt while the contractions were hitting, and I was on my knees trying to breathe through the pain while waiting on the phone while it rang through. And I just don't think there's any coming back from that. I wouldn't want my daughter to think it's okay to stay with a man who destroyed her trust that way either. I will be contacting an attorney, and will be meeting with them in the coming weeks. We had a prenup, so it hopefully won't be too hellish, I hope. I feel like this situation became even clearer when my friend asked me if I'd still trust him as the one to sign off on my medical papers, and the reaction to that idea was visceral. I wouldn't, and I want him to get off that legality as soon as possible. In fact, there are roommates I had in college I would trust more. I would have never ignored so many calls from him consecutively, unless I had told him expressly that I was unavailable at a specific time, and even then. I feel good with my brother and sister-in-law here with me, especially so with her being a nurse and having been there through childbirth. It's really helped us bond in a way that we'd never really had time to. I've also finally told my old friends about the baby, and they are alternating to come and help me out for the next little while. None of this even touched the paternity test, but I'll get it for the proceedings, I guess, so I guess he'll get what he wanted. Anyway, I'm safe and well, and my daughter is healthy and happy as a peach, and pretty much an angel who is happy to sleep peacefully anywhere, and took to breastfeeding with ease, which is such a blessing since everything still hurts. Just making this decision has taken an odd weight off my shoulders, and my sister-in-law has been really helping us bond. Anyway, thank you for letting me write this out. I'm not good with diaries or journals, but writing to people feels different, and it's actually brilliant for the clarity of the situation. Even my therapist said that I seemed clearer and calmer. I might try a diary again as she suggested. I'm sorry, but also not. This is the best outcome. You and your daughter deserve better. I feel about the same, like I really wish this hadn't happened, but I know in my gut there's no moving on from it, if that makes sense. Have you thought about if he was cheating and that's why he didn't answer? I actually know someone this almost same situation happened to. He asked for paternity test because he was cheating, and paranoid that she was too. He was with the mistress when she went into labor too, and ignored calls. Also, have you been home with him or staying elsewhere? I looked at the original post and this one. Did your husband ever say why he didn't answer? No, it's one of the things that added to this decision. He's been completely mum on it, and is just saying he didn't see them. For what it's worth, I'm not even judging your brother. Your soon-to-be ex-husband deserved it. I already feel so ridiculous even contemplating cutting him off. I didn't tell him, but I still feel as though I should apologize. What your husband was doing was abusive, and he tried to take advantage of you even further by trying to manipulate you into cutting off your brother during a time when you were already mentally and physically traumatized and not in a place to make rational decisions. Please divorce him as soon as possible and move on with your life. He was trying to permanently cut OP off from her support. The two people who dropped everything to be there for her in her hours of need, just like he should have been. What he did was unforgivable, and if I was the brother, I would act and say the same. He deserved the 10 minutes of pain and panic. The fear he still hasn't told OP where he was for 10 plus hours, and the paternity question out of the blue makes me think he's projecting and has cheated himself. Hence, he can't admit where he was. What is or who is more important than his wife and child? Now for the last story. My husband is berating me for not defending him on our wedding day. I am now considering divorcing my husband over this catastrophe because he and his groomsmen decided to prank me. For background, we have been dating since I joined my nursing career 3 years ago. He was related to a patient and my husband wanted to get drinks with me. We hit it off. But now I'm here, crying in my dressing gown. My brother is a baker. He's quite popular around town for how good his cakes are. And as his little sister, he decided to bake me and my husband a wedding cake for free. Even though his wife just gave birth to triplets, he still chose to bake us a beautiful wedding cake. So we will call this brother Ben. And then my other brother is an event planner, and since he is also pretty wealthy, he decided to cut slack and charge me far less. Since he quotes, "I know you the most, don't worry." My brother took the reins on my wedding day and made sure it went well, and made it like I was a queen. I'll call my oldest brother Peter. First red flag of the day, while standing at the altar, he looks like he's high as he's slouching on the priest. I could almost hear my mum rolling in the grave. Second was when he kept complaining to Peter about how the flowers looked hideous and that he's disgraceful. I remind my husband that he should be thankful that Peter listened to our wishes and that he tried to make our wedding as nice as possible. My husband just rolled his eyes and went off to get drunk. I'm sitting there annoyed, but I'm like, he's probably scared, so I'll give him time. He doesn't though. He does at the cake though. That has me thinking he's easing up. So, when the groomsmen got behind us, I thought we were getting our pictures taken. So that also made me think my bridesmaids are behind me. Nope. The minute my dear old dad tries to take his phone out for a photo, I'm grabbed by the shoulders by the guys and am slammed onto the cake. My head goes through the cake like butter. My dress and face are now covered, and I now want to hide and cry. Hellfire kicks loose. Peter, Dad, my bodybuilder bridesmaid, my Uncle Henry and Gary, and my Nan start kicking out the groomsmen, while I'm crying and holding on to Ben as my husband is yelling at me. Most of my husband's side start laughing at the whole thing, and never have I been more traumatized in my life. After I got myself cleaned up in the toilet, I went into my wedding to see my husband wrecking the decor, and mine and his family are now screaming at one another. I hated that day, but I'm glad my family and friends stuck up for me. I don't feel guilty about what happened on our special day, but my husband is trying to ban me from seeing my brothers and dad, and that if I try and see them, I'm an awful woman. Because apparently I was terrible at our wedding because I made the day all about me. Even though Peter asked him for his input into the wedding and my husband just shrugged. I'm in desperate need of advice if I should even try and reconcile a relationship with him. I'm 75% leaving him. I just have a lot of doubt and am embarrassed that my marriage is ending before it began. But if anyone could please put their input in the comments if I should stay with him or sack him off. Thank you for giving me your time. Now for the advice. How did your relationship get as far as getting married? That sounds absolutely awful, and I feel terrible for you. He's humiliated you in front of your closest family and friends on what's supposed to be the best day of your lives. Do not let him cut you off from the people who supported you through that. Examples of emotional mistreatment from this post alone. Criticizing, and then destroying, everything she planned for the wedding. Publicly humiliating her. Violating her boundaries. Dismissing her feelings. Twisting reality to make it seem like she was the one that ruined the wedding instead of him. Isolating her from her friends and family. And I'm positive this is far from the first time he's been controlling / manipulative / abusive. His groomsmen physically attacked you, and he's mad at you. You should absolutely leave for your safety right away. I'm glad you have supportive friends and family. And here I thought my wedding was a crap show. OP, I got married at 29, and my marriage lasted 9 months. Go get this annulled. Our lives are too short to be stuck with someone like my ex-wife or like your newly minted husband. He literally ruined your wedding day, not you. Do not be ashamed, and your family sounds like a good lot. Thank you. I'm glad you were in a similar situation as me so you can give me advice, but I'm also not glad since I know that feeling. I'm sorry about your past marriage. My ex-wife was super disrespectful to my parents and my family the whole time I was with her. I had the blinders on the whole time. At my wedding, her dad recalled how he didn't give me his blessing, and this and that, about why I'm not good enough for her, which obviously pales in comparison in your wedding, which I'm terribly sorry that you had to go through. I put a lot of thought in ending it before it even started. Litany of issues also factored, but I wish I would have pulled the plug that day. But I didn't, and 9 months later I was barely a person. Then my ex-wife cheated on me and I saw the light. A lot like what you witnessed at your wedding showed you the light on the person you're with. And now he wants to control when you can see your family. Nope. He showed you his true colors. We're not here long enough to live in constant chaos and the horrible things people do. You're right, I deserve better and I'm not gonna let him get the best of me.
Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories.
My wife cheated on me. I need some perspective, plus updates. Original post. I'll try to keep this as short as possible and keep out details that aren't needed. By pure accident, I was signed into my wife's Google account. Went to check a text from my cousin, but it was her account instead. I found and read every text regarding the whole thing from the very beginning. It started in early November. She posted an ad on Craigslist to have no strings attached meetups. I had a planned business trip in December and she was planning this all to happen then, while I was out of town. She posted 2 different ads. The first one was to have fun with a couple/3-something. That never happened. The second ad summarized, written as it was, you would come into the house, it would be dark, you would go into the bedroom and have your way with me. I want to be mistreated, used, and left satisfied. I want it rough, slight choking, slapping my behind, etc. Confirmed 2 different men did my wife. I know she went down on them as well. She sent and received many private pictures with many other men and women. In some of the texts, she says this would be an ongoing thing as I usually leave for a few days every month or every other month. This was the first time. We have only been married a little over a year. We dated 3 years before getting married. She explains to some of the men that she has only had boring intimacy with me for the last 4 years. After I found out and recorded everything, saved web pages, screenshots, took notes, etc. I took a shower because I felt dirty and disgusted. I then confronted her about it. She did not deny anything, says she still loves me and that we can work it out. She's willing to sacrifice anything to make it work. But I just packed up my stuff and left. Right now I'm living at my dad's. My gut instinct is to get my own place, wait a few weeks to clear my head, and then file for divorce. I'm disgusted by the whole thing. All I can think about are the details in some of the texts. My imagination is getting to me. My parents are the only ones who know as of right now. My mom agrees with me and thinks I should just leave. My dad, having experienced being cheated on as well, is telling me to wait a bit, clear my head, talk to her, and see what happens then. Guys, I need some perspective from you. I need advice from people who don't know me. Please tell me what you honestly think. I'm 30 and I feel like my life is freaking crushed. All of the plans we had, house, kids, career, I feel like that has all been taken away from me. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Emotional stuff. This is going to be awful for a while. The first time you get cheated on by someone you really love, especially when you feel blindsided by it, is positively earth-shattering. It's going to take a while to get over this, but I promise you will come out the other side. While this experience will change you, your experience of it will change over time as well. It takes time, and it takes the support of people you trust. Cold hard facts. 1. This was deliberate. It was planned. It was not a one-time drunken mistake that happened while you were away. When her plan first failed, she didn't miss a beat and tried again. This represents a clear, selfish desire on her part to have the flings she wants to have, while keeping the emotional security and financial support that you provide. You and your wife have diametrically opposed ideas of what love and respect are. She probably did love you at some point, and she still may in her own really messed up way, I have no idea. But you two absolutely do not share the same idea of what that love is, and a marriage can't work that way. 2. You are married, not just cohabitating. Keep the record you have of everything that happened. If you get divorced, this will be important. 3. If your wife was unhappy with your intimate life, it is her responsibility to communicate to you what she wants. She did not do this. I don't know you, and I know this is going to sound weird, but I'm sure you do it just fine. Your wife would have been bored doing it with an Italian bedroom god, and would have cheated on him with some Craigslist meetup. I can tell that these intimate details are really getting to you, and believe me, I know it hurts, but at the end of the day, she's the one who failed to give herself what she wanted, not you. Your wife screwed this up, not you. 4. You can still have the plans you want. You can still have a house, kids, a career, and a marriage. It just may be with someone else. You are still young, and when you realize that you can survive this, you'll realize just how great a guy your wife missed out on. You are not a screw-up for having tried to work towards your dreams and have them not realized. You are a braver person than your wife. 5. Your wife may never really appreciate just how badly she hurt you. She may not understand it. She may not even care. She may beg your forgiveness. Even if she ends up a broken person living on the street because of this, there is nothing in the way that she feels that will eventually determine how you end up feeling. You will be rightfully angry over all this, maybe for a long time, but it does go away. It does get replaced with something better. 6. Find some real friends you can talk to about this. You will need them. There are just some things you can't really talk to your parents about, no matter who you are. If the internet helps you right now, that's okay, but you will need someone in person to talk to about this, or you will not heal. 7. If you decide to work things out, and I admit, that seems almost impossible with these set of facts, remember number 1. You are not to blame here. If you try to work things out, see a professional. Don't try to work things out if you're the one that's coming up with the idea. If she doesn't want to try, you're just going to waste your time, your money, and your sanity. Do not agree to any plan one way or the other for the first couple of weeks. You need time to clear your head, but don't keep this bottled up inside. Tell her to get the heck out and stay somewhere else while you get past the initial hurt. This was the first time. This was not the first time. Your wife did it with multiple people on separate occasions. She was exchanging intimate pictures with strangers. None of this with your knowledge or your consent, tacit or explicit. By definition, her behavior didn't just start and stop at one incident. Your wife may not have cheated on you before all this happened, but the seeds of the behavior that led her to do this have been present for a long time, and I will bet that she had issues with infidelity in prior relationships. It's not your fault for seeing it. Most people don't see this until it's already happened. Good luck, dude. All this, and I know from experience. Last year I divorced my wife of 13 years after finding pretty much the exact same things. Only difference being I'm 47 and we have 2 kids, 5 and 8. I divorced her, took the house and kid, and she's now renting a crap hole and still thinks she did nothing wrong. Her words. Damn dude, sorry about that. Hopefully someday she'll grow the heck up. Good luck to you and the kids. Glad you kept everything. Edit. I'd like to thank you all for the advice in the comments. It is helping me a lot. I'm going to a doctor today to get a full STD test. She is making it hard for me though. I do love her, more than anything. At least I did. I'm just so sad, hurt, and angry, but she really wants to work it out. Sorry, I'm not looking for pity. I need and appreciate your perspectives. Edit 2. I'd just like to thank everyone again. It has been 24 hours now since I made this post and I feel a lot better about my decisions. I'm still reading all of the comments and I appreciate all of the PM people have sent. I feel so hurt, empty, and angry right now. I miss my dogs, and I'm trying to see if I can afford to get an apartment this weekend so I can get them back. Right now, I'm removing my name from all of our accounts. I'm separating everything I can from her. Thank you again for all of your advice and perspectives. It has made things easier for me. I'll post another update soon. Now for the first full update. First, I want to thank everyone for their advice, comments, and everything else. Second, I need to explain something to everyone. You always read how people find out about their spouse or girlfriend/boyfriend cheating, and the immediate Reddit hive mind is to lawyer up, hit the gym, and so on. But you need to know it is not as easy as that. This is the person I've loved for a good chunk of my life. The love I have for that person doesn't just immediately go away. I will say my love changed on a certain level that I can't explain. With that said, it has been 6 days since I found out. I've talked to her multiple times and we've talked through text and through email and also in person. It is very hard to throw away your entire life that you've built with someone, to throw away all of the lifelong plans you had together, career, house, kids, and so on. Also, I can tell she actually regrets it, and I know she is sorry. But I can never trust her again. I will always wonder whenever she gets a text or whenever I leave out of town for a few days, if she'll be screwing some random guy again. I just cannot live with that for the rest of my life. I deserve better. What I've done. Found my own apartment. I move in tomorrow and get my dogs back. Sold my car. I'm very sad about this, but I can't afford to keep my science payment. So things are starting to look up. I don't want anything we bought together or anything to remind me of her. I'm basically moving into an empty apartment with only a couch I got for free from my work and my computer desk and chair. I'll just slowly start buying things, which now I can afford without my car payment. She cries when we talk and it makes me sad. I'm sad for our broken relationship, and I'm also sad for her because I feel like she really does regret it all. This has been the most difficult thing I have ever had to deal with. I feel like I have two paths in front of me that will affect my life forever. On one path, I can take her back, give her a second chance. That will then fork into either her doing it again and me regretting the decision, or it will fork into us having a great marriage forever. The other path is me moving on with my life and not looking back. It is hard to know what decision is the right one. I wish I could see myself 20 years from now and be able to tell. If I knew without a doubt that she would never hurt me again, and that our marriage would work, I think I would do it. So there you have it. Thanks again for all of your support, Reddit. Me typing all of this out and getting it off my chest is some sort of therapy, and it makes me feel better. I'm not looking for pity or anything, just telling a friend about life. Now for more advice before the final update. You guys were only married for a year before she decided to cheat on you. Not a drunken accident cheat, but deliberately set out to cheat on you. Move on, it's what's best. It really is what's best. It will take a while, but after you start to rebuild your life, you'll start to become interested in dating again. You may have trouble putting trust in another woman, but it will be a lot easier than trying to repair what your wife did to your relationship. I've been through this myself. If your situation is anything like mine, you'll be happier too. It really gives you some perspective on life. I'm rooting for you, friend. She is obviously only upset because you found out. If she had gotten away with it, there would be no remorse. This is something my dad would always say whenever he caught me sneaking back in the house or playing Mortal Kombat with blood on high. I vehemently told him I was truly sorry. Turns out, he was right. She lost her chance for forgiveness when she decided that it was a good idea to do multiple guys behind your back while married to you. Bored in the bedroom, act like a human being and talk about it. This isn't high school or college. You want to take the easy way out. You accept the fact that if you get caught, you forfeit the trust and the relationship. Looking forward, I do have some advice. Having been in your shoes, do not, under any circumstances, let your lack of trust in this woman project forward onto any women you meet in the future. It's hard to leave the past in the past and realize that not all women are going to betray your trust. But you have to approach the next woman as if she had nothing to do with this, because she didn't. It took me a long time to learn that, and as such took me a long time to get back into a relationship, much longer than I would have liked. Also, scotch, cigars and friends. Also billiards, but that's a matter of taste. You know who else turned their life around after his significant other cheated on him with a lot of cigars and scotch? Barney Stinson. She regrets getting caught and missing out on all the things you provided for her. It's not like in this situation things went a little too far with a male friend. She was posting ads on Craigslist. Yeah, she had to post the ads then wait for replies, so it's not like she didn't have time to think about what she was doing. That shows a complete disregard for OP and their relationship, and the fact that she did it a second time makes it that much worse. Edit, I just wanted to thank everyone again for your responses. I received tons of PMs that I am still reading, but I promise to read every comment and PM, although I don't think I'll have enough time to respond to them all. One thing I've learned from all the PMs I've read is that I am not alone, and cheating seems to be very common. The situations all differ, but it seems the emotional damage is almost always the same. Thank you for sharing your personal stories with me. They really do help. Right now, I'm just taking it day by day, and I hope my real-life karma turns around soon. Now for the final update. It has been about 3 months since my last update. This will be my final update, but I'll still check the inbox. I can't believe how many messages I received, and I thank you all for them. I'll get right to it. We are getting divorced. It was a very hard decision, and it took me 2 months to really figure it all out. But in the end, I know it is the best thing for me to do. I saw her a few times, but my feelings and love for her has drastically changed. I still love her, but I'm not in love with her anymore. I finally told her this about a week ago. She suspected this was going to be the result, so it wasn't a huge deal. It was weird. I had some gut feeling to check Craigslist, and I see an ad posted by her. It wasn't a no-strings-attached ad, just a regular dating ad. This was before we had talked about divorce, and it just jarred me. I told her I wanted a divorce the next day. We're both sad. I'm very sad. I don't think I'm really depressed, but I can't stop thinking about what we could have had. I had so many dreams in life planned out, and now I've got to start all over. But things are looking good, and I'm being as positive as I can. I've reconnected with friends from years ago that my now ex-wife stopped me from seeing, and it is making things much easier. Besides being sad, I feel good about life, and looking forward to being with someone else again in the future. My issue, which I'll probably have for the rest of my life, will be trust. I never would have imagined my ex-wife cheating on me, and I can't help but think I'll be suspicious and cautious now. I still hope to have kids one day and have a happy life. I just hope my trust issue won't prevent that. I don't really know what else to say in this post. I wish I had some words of wisdom or something meaningful to share. Hopefully this is closure for anyone who read my other posts. It is closure for me. Once the divorce is final, I'll never speak to her again. Thanks again for your support, guys. I really appreciate all the comments and messages. I went through the same thing. My ex-wife did something pretty messed up though. She was doing some do while I was on deployment. I did not realize it until my neighbor told me she had seen some guy staying overnight constantly. I confronted her about it and she confessed, so I forgave her. Big mistake. My next deployment, I got a Dear John letter. So, I get back and find the divorce papers. Well, she wanted to get alimony out of me. Except she didn't realize that in the state of Florida, you need to have kids or have been married at least 10 years to get alimony. So naturally, I fought the divorce down to a quick, no money for anyone divorce. Needless to say, she was angry. My good buddy told me she was planning on using the money I would have given her for a wedding in some chapel in Jax. So, she was angry. Anyways, after the divorce was finalized, I found out she got married 10 days later to that same guy. Here's the funny part though. Because she didn't get any money from me, she didn't get her dream wedding she wanted me to pay for, and now, her dip-dirt husband is stuck in Korea thanks to the army for a year, plus she's flat broke, living in a crappy trailer home. Harm is a witch, ain't it? She even had the nerve to ask me to loan her some money for food. Needless to say, I declined, but as a sign of goodwill, sent her a box of cream corn. She hates cream corn. Victory achieved. Long story short, your divorce, as tough as it is for the best. You'll be depressed for a bit. Hell, I was. But my divorce was in December. It's now May, and I feel pretty damn good. Just keep your chin up and talk to your family if you need to. Trust me. Who the heck knew that cream corn would be the dish best served cold? Excellent. Damn dude, sounds like a classic uniform chaser. I know it's tough to see in the thick of it, but looking back, were there any obvious signs she was like that before you first deployed? None at all. She was apparently really good at hiding her true nature. Either that, or I was just too naive to notice any signs. I can tell you're making the right decision just by this sentence. I've reconnected with friends from years ago that my ex-wife stopped me from seeing. The Craigslist ad did it for me. His situation was worse than he's making it out to be. It was over no matter what. Gah, I used to love Craigslist for the cool things people get rid of. Once I discovered that my spouse had been soliciting himself on there, I could never enjoy browsing the sales section again. It beyond sucks.